To discuss, I'm joined now by two guests in the Golan Heights here in Israel, Amit Deri, co-founder of Sharaka Israel, and in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates by Dr. Majid Al Sarrah, co-founder of Sharaka UAE. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us this hour. Dr. Al Sarrah, I want to begin with you. I'm curious about reactions you may have received for this initiative in the UAE. Clearly, this is a topic all humans can relate to. I wonder what you heard over this initiative.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I can assure you, Sharaka is one of a kind. Sharaka is a new project, and we are aiming to build ties and bridges amongst the people, and not just in the UAE. We're targeting the whole Gulf countries. We're targeting the whole Arab world to be connected to Israel. If you would ask me about the general impact here that we had, I have been receiving a lot of positive messages. I have been receiving a lot of motivational messages from a lot of people, and not just friends and my circle. No, a lot of people who actually didn't know me. They only saw some videos, TV interviews. They have seen or heard a lot of objectives that Sharaka can provide between two countries, and everybody is really optimistic and happy. And I can assure you, a lot of them actually are so enthusiastic to travel to Israel. They would love to meet the Israeli people, and they would love to see this beautiful country.
And on that point, Amit Deri in the Golan Heights, obviously establishing ties with Israel for many countries here in the Middle East is a complicated matter. For some countries, it could take some time to normalize ties to an acceptable extent. Do you believe that recognizing the Holocaust, understanding the Holocaust, will be an important step in this regard?
Yes, I do, actually, because, in the Arab world, the Holocaust is, on a good case, it's the untold story. And we saw yesterday that people said, by the way, you didn't mention that also Saudis were there in the event that we did yesterday. And they said, listen, we learned it at school, maybe 1-2 sentences when we spoke about World War II. We never heard about this too much. So yes, acknowledging and knowing about the Holocaust and remembering and hearing a Holocaust survivor for almost 250 people yesterday attend the event. It was the first time they heard someone that was there on the hands of Mengele. Dr. Joseph Mengele, and was a twin with her twin sister, and she told her personal story, very emotional, obviously, and people cried. People from Saudi Arabia, from Morocco, from the Emirates, from Bahrain, and that empathy, and to get to know each other, and to get to know that horrible story of the Jewish people. It's one step that we are very happy to be the pioneers here, to do that historic event. In some places in the Arab world, like Iran, there is Holocaust deniers that are not. They don't want to talk about the Holocaust at all. They said it's a Zionist scam, whatever. So what we did yesterday was a very, very important step to get to know each other, to get to know each other's stories. And we're going to do the same with the stories from other Arab countries. So it was a very, very important step. And by the way, it was a follow-up. The Sharaka delegation, the first of its kind who came to Israel, they visited Yad Vashem. That was a follow-up to Yad Vashem. They asked, listen, we didn't knew about the Holocaust. We want to meet someone, so we took that opportunity now on the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and we did that historic event.
And in fact, on that point that Amit just brought up, Dr. Al Sarrah, I wanted to ask you about your experience visiting Yad Vashem, an emotional experience even for Israelis who are familiar with the story. I'd like to get your take.
Honestly speaking, that was a historic visit to Yad Vashem. I did not expect to see what I saw in Yad Vashem. And I'm telling you, I did my own research about the Holocaust, but what I saw there was not just pictures. It was not just someone who's telling you the story. We saw real footages. We saw real videos. We saw real belongings, of Jews who suffered, who saw hell, who have been to the gates of hell in Auschwitz, and had to suffer for no reason. The only reason they needed to suffer for is because they're Jews, because they believed in a cause, because they believed in their religion, and they believed in their God, which is completely unacceptable. This is planting hate in people, which started in Europe maybe from the early 20th century. That was a tragedy. That was a crime against humanity. We could not stop ourselves from crying and, letting our tears grow. I mean, we have seen soldiers killing women and their children with very cold blood. This was really tragic, and we don't accept it. Again, we made a promise here in Sharaka that we will promote, to combat anti-Semitism, to raise the awareness for the people and tell them the Holocaust is real. It happened to the Jews. They have suffered. And by the way, we did not see Jews, because I was visiting Israel. After seeing Yad Vashem, I was wondering and asking myself, how come Jews after the Holocaust, they did not, embrace hate, and they said, what, we have suffered. We're going to show the world, how to suffer again, and we will show them, the hate that we have received. No, they forgot about hate. They did not forget the Holocaust. The Holocaust was a great lesson to the Jews, and they started building a great nation. It was really unbelievable what we have seen in Yad Vashem, and I can guarantee you, we encourage each and every person on earth to visit Yad Vashem and to visit Auschwitz and to see how Jews suffered, and after the suffering, they created amazing world.
That's certainly an important and optimistic message. I'm sorry, Amit Deri, we are just out of time. We wish we had more time with you. I want to thank you both, gentlemen, for joining me this hour to tell our viewers more about your initiative, an important one, and we're happy you joined us to tell us.